Welcome back to another episode of Misplaced Garage. I think this is like episode 17 or something of the Triumph, and it's really starting to take shape here in my opinion. I don't know if you guys have been following along. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate all the comments and likes and everything you guys are giving me. And I got some more work to do on this thing. Last I left off was a long-term engine ground cable, so I got that all on there. I reused one of the old engine ground locations, so I think that works out just about perfect. I'm going to wire up the front turn signals. The rest of the lights in the front are on the hood, so I'm not going to worry about that yet. I am going to start on these front marker lights, blinker lights, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to get those wired up here and see if those will work out for me. We're gonna see if I got the daytime running lights and the blinker wired correctly, because I don't know which wire goes to what, so there's only two options in there obviously, so we're gonna see how it works out. Alrighty, well I fixed that problem. I just had to swap two wires around, no big deal. As you can see, daytime running light is a little darker than the blinker, obviously, how it should be. Fronts are working for now. I have to wire up the headlights and the front two side markers, but that's obviously on the hood and it's not in the garage, so I'm gonna set that to the side. The little side marker light works. Got the blinker working over here. Rear tail lights work. I don't know about the reverse lights yet. I need to wire that up. That tail light works. That reverse or blinker works. This is the only one that doesn't have a bulb in it because I can't find one. So that is for another date. Let's see if I can wire in some reverse lights and see what happens. In order for me to wire up the reverse lights, which I believe are those two green wires, I have to put the shifter on. And I have this old school Mazda shifter that I'm gonna stick right in there and see if I can get those two working. Alrighty guys, you can see there's no lights on at all. I do have the battery terminal on. Came over here, wired up those green wires to the reverse light switch, flip the ignition on, that turns the whole fuse box on, and now I go in reverse with the transmission, and boom, we've got reverse lights. It's pretty cool seeing old technology like these taillight bulbs work with a new transmission. I think that the fact that you can do that is kind of cool. I mean, I'm learning along the way with all this stuff, and I'm just super happy that it's actually going together pretty dang easily in my opinion. I picked up some more wire loom. This is more 3/8 loom so then I can keep all the rest of the wires protected. I also picked up a 50 amp headlight switch. This is to dim the headlights and make them brighter. I have now bought 3 switches, and every single time they've been wrong, so now this one is correct. It's not a momentary switch. I kept making that mistake for some reason. I've got 2 momentary switches right here. I picked up some more terminals so that I can ground stuff better and make sure everything else is grounded long term, because there's a few spots over on the Triumph that are not going to be long-term grounded the way that they are, so I'm gonna go through and fix those right now. Ring terminal, kind of like this one, is much better to wrap around the bolt than wrapping just bare wires around it. Not only will the wires fray and break on this, but they also just are unprotected entirely, so you want to have some kind of terminal protecting from the elements. So I'd say that that is much better than what it was. Now I've got to do 2 more of those, the horn one and the other light one. Alrighty, well the front looks something a bit like that. Obviously I still have the headlights to wire in and the cooling fan wire, but that is looking pretty dang good to me. I am super stoked with how it's turning out. So yeah, let's work on a little bit more wire management. I think I'm going to do some more trunk loom just to get it out of the way. Back here in the trunk now, I'm going to try and make this a little bit nicer looking. Obviously it's never going to be perfect because there's so many wires to so many lights back here, but the better I can get it to look, the longer it'll last. So all the electronics are on. I have the switch out to the headlight position. I also added that extra 30 amp wire to this switch, and so far so good. Obviously the headlights aren't drawing anything, but I probably should put LEDs in for the headlights just so that I don't blow anything up, including that switch, because headlights, halogens burn like 13 amps each, so I don't want to do that. But with this switch, if I put it into the position where it connects the wires, the little blue light will come on if I ground it. Stick it in there, and boom, I've got a little blue light. That's awesome. So I picked up these little blinking arrows. Obviously they're to represent when these little blinking arrows are to represent when your turn signal is on. Now I don't know if these are in the right order, but flick it down and left turns on, flick it up and the right turns on. Pretty stoked about that. Both blinkers still do work. Now that I've got most of the lights working on the car, I'm gonna jack the whole frame up, put it on some jack stands, and then I can start dealing with the rear brakes because I want to get that out of the way, so then I can call the brakes almost done. The original rear brake system in this car had one coming from there down through this little hole in the frame right there. They would come down and then connect underneath the vehicle right there. I'm not sure if I really like that idea of it connecting right there, but it may be something that I have to do. But it follows the frame all the way down to the back wheel right there. And then that goes into a brake line T right about there. From that brake line T, it runs about an 8-inch hard line right up there into this side's soft line so that the suspension can articulate. Then there is another hard line connecting right here and follows the brake drum around itself and then connects back up into there. I find it pretty interesting that it has another hard line right there. I'm not sure that is quite a good idea, but is what it is. I'm gonna start with the front side of it and start running a line back. I think I'm gonna do the same thing where they did 2 lines there. I'm pretty certain at the factory Triumph went, where's the worst place that I can put a brake line T? And it is right there. It's like, what do you do with the wrench here? Move it a quarter turn at a time? That is just incredibly annoying. I've definitely become much better at making brake lines. I made this one in about 20-30 minutes, probably less than 30, but 2 double flares on each side, 2 nuts on it, and should be able to bend this thing up and get it fitted to the car here in a couple of minutes. Rear brake line is done. It looks a little something like this. Obviously I'm going to kind of keep those 2 a little closer together, maybe get some and make like spark plug wire things that hold the spark plugs together, and I put one in there just to keep them together. But yeah, boom, got that one done. Goes all the way down and under to the frame, and then on the bottom side looks a little something like that. Now I should be able to make the second one that runs the span of the whole frame back to the rear brake line T. I got the old brake line T off, and I started making the length of the chassis brake line right there. I don't know how long it needs to be, so I just used what I had left and made it into a straight line. Obviously pretty dang curved, but I'm gonna get this brake line tee in there so I know where the brake line is going. Hopefully it'll fit into a similar spot in which is already on the chassis where it was. I don't like where it is, but it seems to be in the only okay spot to put it because I don't want the chassis to like smash it if the frame and the body were to move together. So I'm gonna put it in that pretty much same spot and hopefully it fits. Alrighty, well here is one extremely long brake line that is not straight in any way, shape, or form. But let's see if I can get this on the car without any problems. Got this lower brake line all complete, both tight there, follows the full frame down, goes all the way down, hooks a little bit under the axle, goes back up, and then feeds into that little T right there. The old and crusty one versus the new one. I do notice that the old one has this little like spring on it that I might try to steal off of this one and put it on there, because that's just like a little extra layer of protection. I'm not sure why they wouldn't put it on the new one. Took me an extra 5 minutes, but I am much happier having that spring on there protecting the plastic from any like abrasive metal that it may rub against over time or anything like that. But looks a little dirtier now, but I am happier that it has a little more protection. That'll do it for this video. If you liked the project and you like seeing me put a Miata engine into a 1974 Triumph Spitfire, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.